Hello everybody, my name is Mani Navasobi. I am a practicing Hindu and also an initiated Gardnerian high priest. Thank you very much to Mike Cycle for asking me to talk a little bit about Hindu honoring, Hindu rites, Hindu ceremonies and traditions of honoring our dead and the ancestors. There isn't a fixed day or a date in the calendar where we all gather together and honor our ancestors. So in the month of Chitra, which kind of is the fourth month, and we call it as April, in that month there's a full moon, okay? And of course this is why it changes, because it's like on that month of Chitra, at the time of the full moon, is when that particular day is auspicious for people who don't have grandmothers or mothers, and they don't celebrate it as such, not like the Day of the Dead in Mexico where it's like a big party. These Hindu dates are very auspicious and very sort of solemn, and so they will go to the temple and they will do a special puja. They'll ask the priest to do a special puja in honor of their grandmothers who are deceased or their mothers who are deceased, and it will be in honor of them. But it's more important than just honoring. It's actually about asking the god Shiva to take their deceased ancestors' spirit and bring them to heaven, moksha. Okay, that's the purpose of that particular ceremony, and that happens on the full moon of the fourth month, the month of Chitra, which is our April. But that's just for the female side of things. That's for like any deceased mothers and any deceased grandmothers and great grandmothers. For the deceased fathers and grandfathers, it happens on another day in the annual calendar, and this one happens around about July, and it's the month of Adi. These are the Tamil names of those months. The month of Adi, and the actual event is called Adi Amavasya, and Amavasya is dark moon or a new moon. So in the month of July, the new moon is the time to honor any deceased male relatives, whether it's deceased fathers or deceased grandfathers or great grandfathers or other uncles and other male relatives that may have passed away. So that's the time they go to the temple. Adi Amavasya is that time to actually ask the priest to do a special puja to honor their male deceased ancestors, and pray that their soul goes to heaven, to Shiva's feet. But another time that we honor our dead ancestors, and apparently it's a 10-day period, sometime in October, again governed by lunar phases, and that's just for honoring any of our ancestors. It isn't specific to a male deceased ancestor or a female deceased ancestor. So that's the one that apparently has just finished, which I didn't know about. I don't know, every other day is a Hindu auspicious day for something or another. I don't follow all of it. I follow Pradosham, which is a special day for Shiva that happens 2-3 days before a full moon and 2-3 days before a new moon. And then I follow Navaratri, the 9 nights of the goddess, and I follow Shivaratri, I follow Diwali. I sort of follow the birth of Krishna and Rama and Hanuman, but most of the other ones. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the purpose of these ceremonies in Hindu religion, where we're doing this for our ancestors. Hindus have the belief that it's about, we believe in reincarnation, that once this body is dead, our spirit, our soul ascends or descends, and it waits a little while, and then it's reborn on earth in another form. It could be another human form, it could be any other being. If in this life the spirit, the human has done a lot of bad things, then they are accumulating a lot of bad karma, which means that almost certainly when the body dies and the soul is reborn, it's going to go through a lot of suffering to clear that karma and to learn things, and it has a chance to clear that karma. Hindus want to break this cycle. After death, they don't want the spirit to be reborn at all. I know some of the pagans beliefs hold that you sort of come back and you want to have a better time, a happier time, but Hindus believe in not coming back at all. So the whole purpose of all the worship, all the religious praying, and praying for the souls who are already dead, is to make sure that they are not born again. So we worship Shiva mainly for this particular reason, and we pray for those souls of our ancestors to reach heaven, to reach the feet of Shiva in Mount Kailash. That's where Shiva is, this mountain at the top of Himalaya, supposedly. And so we want the souls to be there happily at the feet of our gods, and not to come back to earth again, not to go down to hell, and just stay in the heavenly realms. And so that's part of the reason for all these ceremonies of trying to honor our ancestors and praying for them, their spirit to reach Shiva's feet. Something else that I wanted to talk about, the god of death. Again, there's this thing of heaven and hell in a lot of mythology, and it is there in Hindu mythology as well, and Hindu practice as well. Heaven is where all the gods are, all the devas are, and we want our spirit to go to heaven after death. So the purpose of worship and praying for the spirits of the dead ancestors is for the souls to go there. But hell is the realm where people do suffer, the souls do suffer. There is punishment, there is penance to be done, there is judgment, and it's ruled by one of the devas called Yaman. Okay, and that is kind of like the Hindu equivalent of the Dark Lord, if you like, Hades or Pluto in Greek and Roman mythology, or Anubis, or Osiris in Egyptian mythology. So in Hindu mythology, the Lord in charge of the underworld is called Yaman. Now, Yaman is not someone who's just sitting there like that kind of Christian devil, all red and fires burning and torturing souls. He's not that sort of a thing. He's actually a deva. He's one of the sort of divine beings, and he just rules the underworld, looks after the souls there. Now, interestingly, Yaman is also the god who represents righteousness. How crazy is that? Well, I suppose it's not, And in the epic Mahabharata, one of the two great Hindu epics, Yaman has a son by one of the earthly princesses, queens, and he's the elder of the five brothers, the Pandavas, and he's all about righteousness. He doesn't lie, he doesn't cheat, but he does fall into bad times, and he's tricked into gambling, and he loses his kingdom and everything. And of course, then he has to go into the woods and live with his brothers and his wife, and kind of things like that. As part of the deal of losing, to his cousins. He had to do that as well. So, but he's the son of Yaman, the Lord of the Dark Lord, if you like, in Hindu mythology. Talking of that, something else that comes to mind, Shiva, one of the key gods in Hindu mythology, we often see him as Lord of Death and Resurrection. And Shiva is sometimes depicted as dancing wildly and crazily in crematoriums with fires burning behind him, and he takes the ashes of the humans that have been cremated. He covers himself in human ash, and he has this dance of destruction. Now, you could take that literally, but it means that he's cutting down the human ties. He's it's a dance of destruction, basically. So that obviously, souls are going to be reborn. So this is why we worship Shiva, because he's the god to go to clear our karmic issues, and he's the one that we worship for when people are dying. I remember when my grandfather was dying when I was 5 or 6 back in Sri Lanka. The whole family is gathered around, and he was an elderly man when he was dying of natural causes, and we all stayed around chanting Shiva mantras and various poetry so that he can hear it, and in those final moments he can hear that, and maybe his soul can be released and go to Shiva. So we were kind of doing that, and I still remember that. As I said, I was 5 or something like that. So I hope you found this talk interesting about various little bits of Hinduism. And thank you again for Mike Cycle for asking me to do this thing. And have a wonderful time. Bright blessings.